And we're up and about here on Smart Minds Business, and thank you for tuning in. Well, besides the kind of situation dealing with conversations to do with business, also be reminded that you can invest something today and, of course, grow your investments and the money. Zabo is a platform that gives you that advantage. Use the USSD code *292 hash. Follow the prompts and kickstart of your investment journey with Zabo. Zabo is powered by Altex East Africa, and it apparently says do something new. And the only new thing you can do today is to invest in government bonds, which are available with just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Zabo, my money, my future. The markets on the platform open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. So it's that simple and definitely something that you can choose to think of if you're to grow your investments. The markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Powered by Object East Africa, do something new. That is Zabo for you. And now we go on ground with Bridget Andrew to see how business is moving on around the areas of Chibuli. How are people moving on with life in this new year of 2023?
Oh, thank you very much, Joram. And today we are right here at Chibuli Depot. Of course, a very, very, very busy place, and quite a lot of businesses are really taking place, as you can really observe. As we always make an initiative on Smart Means Business on ground, of course, to have a tour of the different places, the different busy places around Uganda, and we see how businesses are really be transpiring. You know, every place is unique in its way, depending on the location and the kinds of people that are into this place. So the same today, we are looking at the business in today. If you are really somewhere and you want to come to this particular place in Chibuli, of course, the ultimate question should be, is it very profitable? And of course, that's one of the reasons as why people migrate from the different areas. There is the aspect of the business, of course, making sure that where you're heading, there is, of course, commercial value attached to your movements. Of course, you don't just migrate to any place as such, just for any. Those are quite some of the priorities that you need to really put into great consideration. How profitable is the place? Where am I going to be? How expensive is it to reach the place? For example, if I stay in this particular place and I have to walk and of course going to other place, how much money am I going to spend? All those commercial aspects should be really put into consideration. Now, today he's truly for you, of course, in a very busy place, as we are observing just right here. Of course, the different commercial activities that are taking place, not so much like congestion as such, and of course there is a smooth flow of the vehicles. Of course, transportation being one of the major key driving factors in regarding to economy and how, of course, the velocity of money moves the transaction from one hand to another. So Chibuli is quite, this is what we are looking at today, and quite lots of businesses are in here. And of course, standing on the main road just nearby here, you get to understand that there is quite a lot of transpiring activities right here. Now look at majority of the people here invest in, you know, quite not so complex businesses as such, a little bit simple and put and precise in that way, as you can observe quite so many. So in quite a few interactions I was having with the people that I got to, interact with before I came on air, I was trying to find out what's the experience of being here. And ever since 2023 started, how is business like operating for them? And, one person told me if I compare to the previous place where I was and where I am, I'm actually making a little much more money. So that explains what is really, one of the factors that I told you when I was introducing, trying to understand that whenever you're going into a place, it's very important to know the dynamics that are involved, of course, to understand what it is like, what business can you really do there. How are the policies right? How is the security? Because remember, security is one of the key aspects, of course, when it comes to when you're choosing an area where you're going to run your business from. Now, still, I remember when we did a tour in the different places during the first week of January. Of course, no, actually, that was after Christmas. The Christmas aftermath, most of the places were a little dry, in regarding to migrations and populations. Majority of the people are going to celebrate the festive season. But here comes a place where Chibuli, during that time, since it's largely a Muslim-based area, and actually statistically back then, it used to have about 90% of the Muslims. But lately it's about 65%, but still, that doesn't rule out the narrative. Doesn't rule out the fact that there are quite lots of people that are taking place. Yeah, and of course, quite so many other ventures that are in here. That makes it a very profitable place. As we are observing, of course, there is a university here, the Islamic University, that's in Uganda. And of course, during those times when, you know, the semesters open, those are one of the potential customers that really come into this place to come and, of course, purchase, you know, just the different materials that they need, and also getting to understand that education is one of the very great pillars when it comes to economic growth and development. So that explains the stand of Chibuli, the contribution of this particular place when it comes to not only you operating a business in here, but also operating businesses, of course, across other areas. You know, how is the businesses that are here affecting the businesses in other areas? So that explains why. Now, getting back, even during the festive season, people were right here simply because it's largely a Muslim society. So it's a place where you can actually, you can transact your business, and you actually anticipate that 24/7 there is going to be customers flowing into in here, you know, and making very matters interesting during the times when the university students actually return back. So that's quite a view of the different businesses that are here. Of course, we saw quite many, some dealing in agro products. You know, we saw some, of course, having up shops, putting up shops, of course, trying to make sure that they can actually earn a living. Retail shops, definitely. Though still, that doesn't rule out the fact that majority of the businesses that are operating here still fall under that's the informal sector, which of course contributes the biggest percentage right here. And maybe another advantage which it has, the population it's a densely populated area, but there is controlled. The population is scattered in a way that is quite organized in right here. So today we are observing, we are analyzing the business around here, and of course it's quite moving on very smooth, transactions going on very well, and of course nothing is really stopping the transactions to take the route that they should, of course, that they are supposed to be taking. And of course it explains why we are observing what we are observing. And remember, some of the good places connect right here, you know, because some people, it's very close to town, and you find that it's quite accessible a place in today, explaining why it's having that current stand it is having currently. Quite so many businesses, as you're observing, people in here transact quite lots of them, and of course getting to understand what is really, how it's like, how is it running. I'm seeing, of course, border people there, saloons right there. So there is quite a wide variety. And, you know, there is a question that you could be asking yourself, that if I came in a place like here, what would I transact in? You know, when I observe, according to my observations today, I get to see that it's a flexible place where you can actually operate a range of businesses. Back in the days when it was largely Muslim, there are businesses which never used to operate. For example, if you're, of course, selling alcohol, back in the days, it wouldn't be an ideal place for you to invest. And many other, which are, of course, not in line with the Islam teachings. But lately, since the statistics shifted a little bit from 90% to 65%, today as I speak, even bars are operating and, of course, making some money. And other people also are selling other products which don't really match with the standards of the Islam. You know, since it's largely a Muslim-dominated place, still making some good money out of that. So that gets to explain that there is the aspect of flexibility with the people in here, that you can transact in any business and you will be in position to still earn some money right there. And it's, of course, a very important aspect because it has all classes of people, but majority might fall under what we call Omuntu Wawansi, and where you can actually, they can afford the basic requirements. So that means if you are trying to invest something, if you're coming up with a business, it doesn't mean that you should really have that large capital that needs for you to, purchase those very, very, very expensive items. Or you can start with some little capital, come and invest. And of course, you will be in position to get back your profit as you anticipate. Now, the depot where we're standing is the busiest among the places probably here. Of course, it's a very wide area, but this is one of the busy areas where, of course, the businesses are being transacted. And the place is also the fact that it's very near university. It really explains much of its relevancy right here. And now there are quite so many routes from the different places of town which also connect here, and there is a junction. And of course, there is a business importance and attachment to that aspect, which makes the place even much more reliable when it comes to business accessibility. Of course, the business person will be thinking, what will prompt somebody to leave the places nearby and, of course, come and purchase an item just right here. So those are also other places that you consider. And today it's still the same atmosphere we're experiencing as compared to other places. Definitely, I won't say that it's the most profitable, of course, but there is an element of profitability because we've seen quite many places around town as we have been visiting on SMB on ground, observing the business climate and atmosphere in those places. And you find that some of those places are well congested, but the congestion doesn't really bring out the commercial benefits, the financial benefits of that particular place. So that brings back a place of understanding, getting to see why the place is the way it is. So now, on other aspect, when we are looking at other items here, we get to understand that renting a shop here is a little expensive. And why is it expensive? It all comes back to what I was explaining to you, telling you the financial benefits that come all here. Now, the renters here, I'm talking about you're trying to rent a shop, you're trying to rent a house. So we are talking about 500,000 and above, and that's if you're to get a decent, that's a decent place for you to stay in, or a decent place to run your business, because you wouldn't want your business to look shabby. So that means you'll have to get much more better place. But then still, that expense still matches along with the profitability here. Yes, it being a Muslim place and operating 24/7 and very flexible, that means whatever business that you operate will be in position to see some element of profitability. And we know the Muslim brothers to be one of the very key people when it comes to supporting other people's businesses. So that still will come back to what I've been telling you, the profitability, all that will, so it all adds up with the rent. If you hear about paying 500,000, of course, that doesn't mean that there are no houses that are below that, or a story, can I say, accommodation facilities that are below that. But we are looking at decency and class for, in case you have a vision for what you're trying to pursue, for what you're trying to do, that will largely, of course, account or attribute or determine how much you're going to spend on that particular aspect, and of course get something for you right there. And the standards of living are quite high, but of course those are one of the statistics or what we can call features of a profitable area. The standards of living are pretty high in that aspect. But why? Because you're going to be in that short space you're going to operate, you're going to be in position to get back that money. Of course, this relates with the conversation I had with somebody here dealing business before I came on air. Unfortunately, they were not willing to come and speak about what they feel about this particular place. But they told me, when I compare the revenues I was earning in the previous place, which of course they did mention.
That is what is happening in Chibuli, that is close to the Kampala Central Business District, Kampala suburb in Chibuli. Around there, construction sites ongoing, and of course, businesses as usual, especially the small enterprises operating within the area. Those who are actually doing outdoor businesses always wake up so early from 6 a.m. to at least kickstart off their day, and eventually the day is already starting up for most of them now. Probably also on the other hand, if we are to at least give you more updates coming in real time, you get to realize that most of the communities are back to their working spirits as back to the normal before the festive season, because at least during the festive season celebrations, especially afterwards, most of the people decided to at least go on leave, and others had actually stretched their working hours, and they were actually starting at around 8 a.m. Nowadays, people do start at as early as 6 a.m. because it's a normal day, it's a normal setting, it's time to get the money, and January does not seem to be probably a good month for some of the people. And so that is why you see most of the people are setting their cards right to ensure that they keep on doing their business as it's supposed to be. And a bit of technicalities with the network issues, but we had a view of how the normal day in Chibuli is moving on so far, Tuesday, the 17th of January 2023. But well, of course, putting it back to the side of the business community within the entire country, how are you faring? How is business moving on? How are you preparing yourselves? And how are you making sure that you are ready to at least be in sync with the information regarding business and all the updates that come up? But well, besides that, investment is something that you should also choose of 2023. It should be something that you should prioritize. How possible can you deal with investment and forget the other issues? But with Zabu, there is an opportunity for you to grow your investment at a slow pace, but at least see that your money will be growing, because your money is definitely your future. Grow your investments by investing in government bonds, and with that, you use the USSD code *292#. Follow the prompts and definitely kickstart off your investment journey with Zabu. With just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, it will be very possible and very easy for you to invest in government bonds. And that is something that you should be looking forward to experiencing. Select a preferred maturity period for that particular bond and make sure that you follow up with the prompts as they do come by. *292# is the particular USSD code that you can use. Follow the prompts and remember that the opening time is 8:15 a.m. and closing time is 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Zabu says that the markets are fully closed on public holidays and during the weekend. Zabu, my money, my future. All takes East Africa, do something new. You've been watching Smart Means Business here on Smart 24 TV, 13 minutes to 10 a.m. Afterwards, 10, we shall be having financial markets coming up with Anthony Sebali. So keep it up here on Smart 24 TV as we continue to give you more business information and news of real-time business updates as they are happening. Have yourselves a blessed day. Till tomorrow. Good morning.